minutes. What the hell?
All right, welcome to Call It in the Ring. To my left, we got John Skyler, which is, I guess, you guys are right. Yeah. And then we have the fabulous Playboy, Bob Keller.
I'm ready.
Hey,
You ready?
Yeah. I was checking the watch. I thought you were doing the whole SpongeBob thing.
I don't watch SpongeBob. I'm a man.
All right. So
we got some questions here. What
yeah,
are we doing?
we got some
Or
questions.
we just go call it in the ring.
Well, I mean, I've got some questions for you, but we're
let's
gonna,
let's do it.
All right. So,
We're here.
how long have you
Who
been
are you?
in the business?
Because
First of all, you gotta
said who
introduce
I
yourself.
am.
Know me.
You said who he is, but you didn't say who you are.
I'm Shawn Owens, but you already know me. So
But how do you know that? Maybe it's somebody new, because my buddy Sexy Shane Shadows in Martinsburg, Hagerstown, Maryland, actually. He meets me in Martinsburg, but he's in Hagerstown, Maryland. He may not know who you are, even though he's checking out this show here today.
Well, he might be only checking the show out because I was on you guys' podcast. So, if that's the case, then welcome to the show. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel.
Who are you? What's your
I
name?
just said my name. My name's Shawn Owens.
Okay, Shawn
Okay.
Owens. Let's go.
right.
Let's go.
So, Bob, how long have you been in the business?
Oh, man, let's see. I had a thing on the wall that told me when I started. Been in the wrestling business since 1994.
Okay.
Late
And,
94, middle 94.
and how'd you get your start? What camp did you go to?
Oh, man. I'd worked for a tire company. I delivered tires for a company called Wholesale Tire out of Martinsburg, West Virginia. And one day I was riding through Hagerstown, Maryland. I was actually doing sales. And my old boss was watching. Sorry, Mark, I took an extended lunch. I seen a sign that said Superior School of Pro Wrestling. And at that time, Neil Superior had been on the South Atlantic TV program and all that. So we knew of Neil, and I knew he was from Hagerstown, but I didn't know he'd opened up a school at that point. And I actually, at that in that part of Hagerstown, Maryland, 2 one-way streets take you in and out of town. And I went up and looped around to come back to go to the school, and there was a sign on the door that said, I believe it was Tuesdays and Fridays, there was training at the school. And this happened to be a Tuesday. And I ran the route as quick as I possibly could. And I got back to the warehouse that day. I dropped all my stuff off. My boss asked me how the sales went. And as I'm running outdoors, said, they went great. I'll talk to you tomorrow. And I ran out the door and went home, changed clothes, and drove back to Hagerstown, Maryland, which is about a 20, 25-minute drive. And I went and checked out Neil's school. And it was actually in the old, and it still is, it's in the old DMV building there in Hagerstown, Maryland. And, from there, I walked in. Neil sat me down. He said, we train on Tuesdays. We do beginner classes and all this. And, there I went. That's where I started.
Okay. All right. What's the best match that you've ever been in, and who'd you work?
Oh, man, to sit there and pick, hey, John, how are you? Oh, to sit here and pick the best or anything like that, I am going to say that the gentleman sitting to our left.
Hey, cut that shit off.
The gentleman sitting to my left over here.
This part's important. It's putting me over.
Has drugged some of the best matches out of me. Shane Shadows has drugged some of the best matches out of me in tag team and against each other. And I don't know if it's because I felt more comfortable with them or what, but I know especially with John, I just didn't want to let him down because he was just getting into the business, and I was on my way out, and I didn't want to be that weight that held him down. I wanted to do whatever I could to try to help elevate him up the best that I possibly could. But at the same time, again, it was a trust thing, and I would do more things. BJ Hancock's another one. There's very few times I would take a backdrop or a body slam to the concrete floor, and when you look at BJ Hancock, say, give me the slam to the floor, and his eyes about to shoot out of his head like, holy, who are you? What'd you do with Bob Keller?
Right.
I'm not going to pinpoint one. I mean, I wrestled with Jimmy Valiant in the Mid-South Coliseum, which was a lifelong dream to wrestle somebody like Jimmy Valiant, to be able to do it in such a historical place. So wrestled with the Honky Tonk Man.
Did you ever wrestle Wayne Ferris?
I was just getting to that. I wrestled with the Honky Tonk Man, and anybody can have all the problems with him they want. He was good to me.
Did you win?
Yes, I did. We're not going to get into all that. Stop it. But so I mean, I've had a lot of fun. I've had a lot of good matches. I really love tag team wrestling. I was more comfortable as a tag team wrestler than I was as a singles wrestler. But
Why is that?
I just because I knew I had limitations, and a lot of the people that I was tagging with, whether it be Shane Shadows, whether it be John Skyler, whether it be Pretty Boy Parrish, whether it be Jamie Polson, him and I were the original Fabulous Playboys, or there were times that maybe there was something that they didn't have, like with John, when we first tagged, he didn't have the experience. I had the experience. But John, of course, had way more athletic ability than I had. When I tagged with Shane Shadows, there were things that with his athletic ability as opposed to mine. Pretty Boy Parrish really wasn't so much on the microphone at the time, but he was he was a good technical wrestler. I was the mouthpiece. I wrestled one of the first tag teams I was in when I moved to South Carolina was a tag team called Pretty Mean. It was myself and Michael Devine. Again, areas we were so different that when you put us together as a team, it made something totally different for both of us.
This is a question directly from Brett Wolverton.
So he's a boy.
Yeah. Says, have
I
you
like
ever been
women.
to a
Oh, okay.
Have you ever been to a Turkish prison?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, there you go, Brett.
And the only time I've seen a grown man naked is when I looked in the mirror. So
There you go. So
does that
you're
make you nervous?
no.
Oh, okay.
So you're a master of a lot of different things when it comes to the ins and outs of wrestling, whether it be
I wouldn't necessarily call it master. I just have maybe.
Shush, let him put you
Okay,
over.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
whether it be booking, promoting, managing wrestling. You've done pretty much all, right?
I've done a lot. I've never say I've done it all. The wrestling business is completely and totally it evolves constantly. It's always evolving into something else. Anybody that says that they've done it all or done everything, they haven't. Anytime that you walk to the ring, if you don't have those butterflies anymore, it's time to give it up. If you're not learning anymore, it's time to quit.
So I'm going to ask you this, and then I'm going to ask him the same thing. But when you first got in versus now, like, how's it changed?
It actually was a lot harder to get in, even in the mid '90s, than it is now. I believe when people got in, when I first got in, they wanted to be there. Some of them look at it, watch it on TV, and think, "Oh man, this is just way too easy. I could do this." And then you put them in a ring, and they realize it's not as easy as it looks. Back when I got into the wrestling business, especially when you trained with Neil, he didn't take it easy on you. If you said, "Oh, I don't think I can get this," he would show you different ways. I'm a heavy set guy. He would show me different ways, to kind of cover up some of my athletic shortcomings.
Okay. And how about you, John? Like, how's it from when you first started to now?
I've always admitted that I thought it was kind of easy when I was breaking in for people to get into the business, but I don't think it's necessarily easy for people to strive into the business, if that makes any kind of sense whatsoever. Like, I think anybody can pay their $1,500 or their $2,000 or whatever it may be to go to a school and train, but you quickly weed out the ones that are the real life people that are wanting to make this a career from the ones that are just kind of pretenders or posers or whatever the case may be. So, like, I think those people get weeded out pretty easily. Unfortunately, I think it is easy for people nowadays to get into the business, kind of like he was saying. Like, back in the day, you really had to know somebody. You had to do research. You had to, know somebody who knew somebody that knew somebody.
Somebody had to invite you in.
Almost like the mafia. And I think when I broke in 2008, you still had to kind of know somebody to get into the business. Like, it took me a while just to find out, contact info for Bob. to get into the business. But you know, I don't know. I was coming around that weird trend where a lot of people that got in were wrestling fans, and not a lot of us were taken seriously. And I think a lot of the ones that weren't taken seriously are no longer in the business.
A lot of those didn't take it seriously either. That's probably why they're no longer in the business as well. You know, and of course, a lot of people, and I've had this trouble. People contact me and go, "Oh, you know, I want to wrestle for WrestleForce or OSCW because they run on Sundays." Well, you're not going to make any money wrestling 12 shows a year. You know, you got to travel. If you're not willing to get in the car and travel somewhere, you're not going to do anything. You're going to do 12 shows a year, and you're not a wrestler. You're somebody that's trying to go out in front of your family, family or your friends, and be something that you're not. You know, and we both run into people like that they show up every now and then just so that they can go out there and try to get the crowd excited about them being there, and they go out there and their match is not even a good stink fest.
Well, and one thing, real quick, to talk about how the business has changed for the better. I think when I broke in 2008, it was kind of universally known that you had to be over 6'5" and over 220 pounds to be anybody in the business. And I think thanks to guys like Daniel Bryan and your CM Punks and other people like that have kind of made a name for themselves by breaking the mold, it's easier for guys like me now to get to that next level. Somebody that's 5'7", 5'8", and not necessarily 220 pounds. I think wrestling has become more open-minded. I think now it's more like an art where people, you like what you like. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Like, you can find other forms of wrestling that you do like. There's YouTube, there's WWE Network, there's all these other things that you can watch. So I think it's kind of, in 2008, everybody was like WWE, 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 and now people are discovering New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, like I said, WWE Network, YouTube. You can go back and you can find just about anything you want to find.
And you got Flow Sports as well.
Flow Slam, Flow Sports, yeah.
They're picking up different things as well.
Yeah, Progress Wrestling, or like everything in England is doing well. Like, I think that open-mindedness has changed the business, and like, I think people now are just like, a wrestler doesn't have to be 6'8" and 250 pounds of shredded muscle. You can be just you can be entertaining, and you can have a following and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's kind of, would you agree, that's kind of how it's changed for the better?
It is. I wish some more of them would get back to telling stories in the ring, as opposed to going out there and just taking a lot of bumps or flying across the ring or diving out of the ring to the floor. I'm not going to say what company it was on Thursday night, but you watch matches. The idea behind the match is to win. The way to win is pinfall or submission. Well, if you're not putting people in submission holds, or you're not working an arm, or you're not working a leg, you at least try to go for a pin after a couple big bumps. Well, screw me for using that type of psychology, but I think and of course it may just be my personal opinion, but if you're trying to tell me that you're trying to win a match, why are you not going for a cover when you knock somebody down? John and I once seen a ladder match that and you can't make this up, and they had no way to hang the belt over the ring. So what they decided to do was hang it on the basketball goal inside the gymnasium. Well, they're still going to do the ladder match. Well, the idea to win a ladder match is to do what?
Climb the ladder.
And do what?
And get the belt.
And get the belt. There you go. Or get the case, or get the contract, or get the herpes, whatever it is. We're sitting there, we're watching this.
Herpes in the Bank coming next June.
Somebody slides the ladder out underneath the ring, and we're both sitting there hoping that they were going to go down the aisle to the basketball goal. No, they slid it in the ring, stood it up in the ring just so they could do a spot off the ladder. What sense did that make? It made zero sense. It really made no sense to hang the belt up over the basketball goal. What they should have done is come up with another scenario of winning the belt, but they didn't do that. They hung it on a basketball goal, and of course, one time they go after it was the time the guy went after it to win the belt. So it made absolutely zero sense, and all they did was use the ladder then as a gimmick to do moves inside the ring.
And I guess what I was getting to with the changes in pro wrestling now, and I'm sorry we're getting off on one question.
Oh
here,
yeah,
but,
we're gonna run all over the road. That's how we go.
It's fine.
like 2008, I felt like everybody had to look like Randy Orton or look like Batista or look like John Cena. And I think now people have kind of opened up their eyes to where it's okay to look like, Daniel Bryan.
It's okay to look different.
It look different, and I think AJ Styles. I mean, the guy's 5'8". He's 38 years old. He doesn't. He's
Really, 38.
He's getting up there in age.
He
Yeah.
finally got his break, man.
And he finally got his break. I mean,
Something he's deserved for a long time.
I'll put back the curtain a little bit. Like when me and Corey went there for a tryout, like AJ pulled us aside and he was like, you guys are same size as me. The thing about small guys is you have to you can beat somebody up. Just aggression, and he's been able to portray that. And he pulled us aside afterwards and he goes, "What did they tell you?" And we never even got to do a tryout. That was the thing. Was I think it was one of the agents there pulled us aside and goes, "You guys have worked on TV. We've seen you guys work or whatever." And AJ was like, "How old are you guys?" And I told him at the time I was 27 or 28. Corey's 25 or 26, and AJ goes, "Took me till I was 38. I'm just now getting here." So he goes, "Don't be discouraged about anything." And I think that right there tells you if they can see that you can get over in front of some sort of audience, then you're gonna do great, make them money. And I think that's the thing is they want guys that can make them money. I think Luke Gallows is a prime example. He's a guy, I think if you talk to Drew, he would tell you is he the greatest technical wrestler or whatever? No, but he's he's got size. He's entertaining.
Oh, he's funny as hell.
He's one of the funny. He can keep you laughing, keep you entertained, and I think if they can see any kind of dollar signs in you at all, even if WWE decides one day, we don't know, to do a segment on WWE Network as the best of Sex Ferguson, or road tripping with Sex Ferguson.
Brother, if I wasn't so stomach up that I'd shit my pants, I'd crawl across this guy and whip your ass.
I think if they can see money in you, there's a future for you. And
The hell, I asked for a dirty 30 natty light. What's this bullshit?
Spark. I hope that answers your question. The business is continuing to evolve for the better, I think.
Okay, so that brings me to the next one.
Piss up a rope. I answer it. Go ahead.
What's that gimmick's name?
Sex Ferguson.
Sex Ferguson. Where did you guys come up with that?
No,
It's not a gimmick.
We did not come up with Sex Ferguson. Sex Ferguson is a character that Luke Gallows named. We were riding up the road to, I want to say it was Virginia Beach, and we got talking about the good old boy network of pro wrestling in the South. You know them boys that, hey brother, thanks for coming. Hey, you gonna be here next week? We're selling, we're gonna pay it hot dogs and Pepsi next week. Come on out. We couldn't do it without you, brother. And it was just back and forth, and him and I were both doing that same voice. And he did the Sex Ferguson character with with that. What Carl Anderson likes to call a few Bobisms, like the pig's pussy made of pork, the hobby horse have a wooden dick, the fish have a watertight asshole.
Shit me up a rope.
Shit me up a rope. Things like that. And there were a couple people that thought Gallows was making fun of me with that voice, but it was him doing an impersonation of me doing an impersonation of somebody else. And if it was him making fun of me, I wouldn't give a damn, because I love it. I think it's hilarious.
Right.
I don't get offended by things like that. Things like that don't offend me. You call me fat all day long. Well, hell yeah, I'm fat. Thanks for ripping that straight out of the pages of No Shit magazine. Those are the things that things like that don't bother me. I get as much enjoyment out of it as they do. Things like that just don't bother me. I have fun with it too.
Okay, so going back to the question I wanted to ask before we got off on that whole tangent, how it's better or worse.
Better or worse? Shit, who's getting married in here today? Oh.
You guys got any do's and don'ts for guys that are green?
Yeah,
Like
don't piss me off.
Okay, well that's a don't.
Next question.
Elaborate,
give me money.
Wait a minute. Elaborate more on your do's and don'ts. What,
If you're looking for bookings, you're looking to get out there.
all right, I'm gonna
Definitely don't piss me off.
Yeah, definitely don't piss me off if you're looking for booking. You don't show up in the front row of the crowd in your gear and expect to get booked. Don't if and I can't speak for the promoters. I'm gonna speak for myself. If you send me a message that says, "How do I get booked?" I'm gonna respond with "Not like this." Or if you put it on my Facebook wall where everybody can see it, I'm gonna ignore it.
How do I get in WrestleForce?
Yeah, how do I enter it?
Buy a ticket.
Yeah, buy a ticket. Don't put that on my Facebook wall. Send me a private message that doesn't just say, "I want to be a wrestler." Well, congratulations. I want to be a millionaire.
I got a big do.
Yeah.
A big do for me is properly know how to use social media, and this falls under everything you were saying, like
How to use a microphone?
No,
No.
I'm talking about I'm talking about like guys. There's a lot of guys and girls out there that don't know how to use social media. They throw things out there that portray them in a negative light when they want to be portrayed in a positive light. They want to make so it's all of our goals to get booked as much as possible and to hopefully get booked on TV, get booked, wherever you can. And
I don't care if you got TV, just have my money.
Have my money. And a lot of people will portray themselves, and it's their own doing, in a negative light, and they'll post things that are just like, well, I can't, I don't know, they'll see a card for a show, for example, they'll see like a flyer, and then they go to share it, but when they go to share it, they'll leave a comment like, how am I not booked on this show, or something like that. And I'm just using a vague example here.
That's
but
a good one, though.
Yeah, because people will be like, how am I not booked on this show? And then the people that are running the show can see that. And automatically it tells me if I'm running the show, well, there's a reason you're not on the show.
Probably because of your comment.
And because of your comment, you're not going to probably, be on a show in the future. So a big do for me is know how to use social media. Like if I've got a fan page, I've got my personal page, I'll say, hey, I'm open these weekends if anybody wants to use me. And then I'll share it on my fan page or whatever. And then I'll leave it at that. Like, if I don't get booked, I don't get booked. Which is few and far between. But
as opposed to some people saying, I have these dates open, why are you people not booking? And it's not John doing that.
Yeah.
It's other people. Why am I not booked? Well, step back and look at yourself. Or well, not just your attitude. Step back and look at yourself. What are you doing to get booked? I had one guy that contacted me out of the upstate, and it was like 3 days before the show. Hey, do you have any open spots on your show? I said, no, but if you'd like to come help set up, if something opens up, I'll give you a spot.
And guys get so offended when you tell them that.
And they get so, they do, and the thing of it is, bring your gear, and you show up like I've asked you to, and then what kills me is they were like, well, okay, well, something opens up, let me know. Well, I just told you how to do this. Yeah. If you're too good to set up the ring, you should be working for WWE where they don't require you to set up the ring.
Which is false.
Well, wait a minute. If you're in NXT, they do require you to help with the ring. I'm talking about if you when you reach the point of AJ Styles, or Luke Gallows, or the New Day, or Ric Flair, or Hogan, or
the New Day, or Ric Flair.
if
you're AJ Styles, John Cena, Ric Flair, or Xavier Woods,
you're not setting up the ring. But at this level, at the independents. There's a guy that runs in Thompson, Georgia, that I kind of looked at his locker room the last few shows that he ran, and everybody grabs their envelope, they run out the door. There's guys working for him that go to other places for free but they stand there with their hands out for him, and they can't even help the man carry the ring out of the building.
Right.
And they show up, 20 minutes before bell time. That's a big pet peeve of mine. If call time is at 4 o'clock and you show up at 4:15, I'm going to raise hell. Yeah. If you show, and we've been on shows before where guys show up after the bells rang for the first match. I kicked a guy off a show one time because he showed up 5 minutes before bell time, walked up to me and said, "Are you the sound guy?" I said, "Yeah, and the booker. Go home."
Yep.
That's not how we do it. We already rewrote the card 3 times because of him, because we were told he was going to be 15 minutes. Well, 15 minutes went by 45 freaking minutes ago, and he still wasn't there. You can't run it. This is a business, and it has to be run as a business. If you're not going to run it as a business, you're playing wrestling.
I got another big one for you as far as a pet peeve goes. It's, for example, I'm just going to use this company as an example. We do a lot of shows in Charleston, South Carolina. And it's got nothing to do with the company or the people that run it. It's top-notch, professional, all the way across the board. But there are people that live in the area. So if the show's in Charleston, South Carolina, some of the talent lives in Charleston, South Carolina. And a lot of these guys will be the last ones to the show, or the last guys to come in. Like if call time's at 4 o'clock and the show starts at 5,
They show up at 4:30.
they show up, like 10 minutes before doors open, or sometimes before, like as the show is going on. And it's just like, well, dude, I live in Columbia. I live 2 hours away, and
I
I'm
got
here.
a long drive.
And I'm here at 12 o'clock. And it's not because somebody told me to be there at 12 o'clock. I'm there at 12 o'clock because I like to be there. I like to find out what's going on. I like to be able to help with the show in whatever capacity I'm needed. I like to
Roll around with the guys.
roll around with the guys that are training. I like to do all those things. But the guys that are showing up at 4:15 and 4:30 when the doors are already open are the guys that live in the town. They do their match, and before the show's even done, before the show's even over, they're gone. They do their match and they leave. And it's just like,
Hey, I gotta go. I gotta get up for work in a minute.
so, and what blows my mind is if it was any other job, if you walked into
Walmart.
a Walmart or State Farm or somewhere,
Walk into Amazon late.
you can't just go in and say like, you do a job interview and they tell you, okay, well you're going to start tomorrow and you're going to report at 8 a.m. You don't tell them, yeah, I know you said report at 8 a.m., but I'm going to be in at probably 9:15.
Well,
If that's
people do
okay.
that. That's why they're unemployed.
And that's why they get fired.
Yeah.
Or if they say, well, can I come in at 8? And I know you guys work till 5, but can I leave at 3:30 because I got to take my kids home?
Well, I got a long drive.
Yeah, I got a long drive. No, that's not. And I guess that's a fault of mine is I look at wrestling like a job, and not everybody does. But at the same time, those guys that don't look at it like a job are the guys
That aren't booked every weekend.
that aren't booked every weekend, and in turn the guys that are probably wondering why I am booked every weekend. So
Yeah. Well,
screw them and screw everybody that looks like them.
damn it, so much.
All right. So, what was your? Sorry. Yes, Ossifer.
Ossifer.
Swear to drunk, I'm not God. All right. What was your most intense moment in the ring?
Ah,
Could be-
I know that one.
Could be an injury. Could be a high spot. Could be anything. What was the most intense moment that you had?
That's not it.
Oh, okay.
As you just destroyed all of your photos on your wall.
I want this damn picture.
We're live, pal.
This is his most intense moment. Where the hell's that camera at? There
right
we go. Look at that. That's his most intense
When I
moment.
busted you open with a cowbell.
Yeah. The
Um,
night you said.
That was a cowbell.
that was pretty bad.
Yeah. Busted open pretty good.
Yeah. Top of the head. That was pretty
We
intense.
gotta get out of here. No, we can keep going. Oh shit. Yeah, we gotta get out of here.
Elaborate on your question. Repeat it and then elaborate on it.
The most intense moment in the ring for you is it could be you could have gotten injured, could have been high spot, botch, anything.
Final bunch.
Bots? You're talking to John Skyler.
Well,
Say the
well,
bots question for me.
Well, I know that, but accidents do happen, and you know, it's not necessarily him that's doing it. It could have been somebody that he was working with.
I got 2 or 3 examples. So, I've got 2 that involve me getting hurt. I got 1 that involves somebody else getting hurt. The one involving somebody else getting hurt is Bob, the cowbell. We're wrestling in
Romney, West Virginia.
Romney, West Virginia. Shout out to Romney, West Virginia. And he goes to give me a sunset flip, and I've got the cowbell. I wobble back.
And I think he was astonished that I was actually able to get my fat ass over.
No, we had done the spot before with the sunset flip, but you know, I like wobble back, and then I grab the cowbell and I stop him by hitting him with the cowbell. But I was in the moment to where like didn't
He
hit
had
him.
the short side of the cowbell.
I didn't hit him flat with it. I hit him with it turned, and you know, I just wasn't paying attention. It was my fault completely. And as soon as it hit him, it laid him wide open. I kind of sell away, and I'm like looking around, and I turn back around, and like I see Bob laying on the ground. There's a puddle of blood around his head, a little like CSI, and like he goes, "Brother, this is hard way. This is hard way." And I go, "Yeah, no shit." There's blood everywhere.
Now, I look up, and my daughter, who had been taking pictures the whole night, has got the camera here, and all of a sudden, it's like this. And I'm like, I gotta have good color. I mean, I felt it running. I was like, get some damn pictures.
Yeah.
And as I turn, I go to put my hand down. I slipped. I'm like, what the hell? I look, and it was a white canvas. And like John said, I was laying in a puddle of blood. Referee was freaking out.
Promoter comes out. Does
Promoters standing over by the curtain, you know, telling us to wrap it up. John's going, hey, man, think we need to go? I said, man, we're good. We're fine. Everything's good. Keep going. And as I stand up, I was like, hey, John, I think we need to go home, buddy.
And then my personal experiences, my 2 worst injuries. One was wrestling with Lodi at PWX. We were in a place called Neighborhood Theater, which had theater seating. So the whole building is like this. It's on a slope. And then they had to actually put the ring on blocks to make it even, to where like the ring could sustain, like, or
where it would stay level.
Where it would stay level, yeah. And Lodi gets this bright idea because we're in Charlotte, his hometown. He wants to actually do a dive out on me on the floor, and because we're on that slant, I can't plant my feet like I need to plant them. So we're again like on a slope, and I catch him, and as I catch him, you know, we land. We're both on the floor. He goes, "You all right?" "Yep, I'm good." "You all right?" "Yep, I'm good." I go to stand up, and then like everything in my left knee is just gone, and I can't even stand up. And come to find out, like it was a partial PCL tear, which wasn't even a full PCL tear. Like my
What partial means.
right, but like my doctor was telling me, like I work on football players that have no PCL and they still play games, and I'm like, I've got a partial tear, and I can't have like a match without selling this thing. Like, you're wrong. Like that was the big one, and then my first concussion was probably like the one that was.
Don't
really,
ask me more about that because you can't remember it.
I vaguely remember it. It was a 6-man ladder match. Jumped off the top rope, went for a missile drop kick. Guy holding the ladder. I hit the mat head first. Wham! Knocked out. Next thing I remember is I'm sitting in the locker room. I picked my head up. I got my gear on. I was like, oh crap! Like I'm at a wrestling show, and I've got my gear on. And somebody was like, yeah, you're done. You can take it off. And I was like, take what off? Your gear. Well, I gotta wrestle. And they're like, you already wrestled. And I was like, what? Like, and they were like, yeah, you already wrestled. And yeah, that was my first concussion. You know, just because like you don't remember anything, and at the time we didn't know what we know about concussions now. You know, this is 2008, 2009, and even back then, you know, I had got knocked out in the middle of the ring, did another 10-minute match, and then the next night wrestled another 10-minute match. Didn't know how I got knocked out. I had to watch the tape the next day to figure it out, and then had a match the next day. And that kind of stuff just does not fly now. And I don't encourage anybody to tough it out. I don't encourage anybody to do anything like that because
You're not showing toughness at this point. You're showing a little bit of stupidity.
yeah. We
Brain
look at,
injury is nothing to mess with.
and we look at everybody from the generation that came before us, and a lot of them are out there now.
Well, look at football players that they're finding out all these concussion problems and everything else. It's not even TV shows like Law and Order have done stories on it where they've got their mental faculties and then all of a sudden they're missing blocks and they're missing pieces. It's not a way for somebody to have to live life. So.
Next question.
All right. Go with you, Bob. Have you ever had any of those on? Like Mick Foley would, in his interviews, he'd say that he hit Terry Funk with a flaming chair, and some stuff happened, and he thought he was going to quit the business. Have you ever had any moments?
Actually, one of those happened in training when I first started. Shane Shadows came off the top rope with a leg drop, but landed ass first on my face, and it knocked me out. And I don't want to. Everything was almost. I almost felt like everything was reversed. I could see things. I remember bits and pieces of it that know it knocked me out. And I don't remember anything until my ex-wife had been there, and one of my best friends. He was training at the time as well. They were putting me in his car, and they said hospital. And as soon as they said hospital, man, I came right out of it. Hell, I can't afford to go to the hospital. Why am I going to the hospital? And they're like, you don't remember any of this? And I was still training. I was still working with people and everything. I was just really dazed, and I really don't remember a whole lot about that. And at that point, I thought, maybe this isn't for me. I can't go getting knocked out all the time and not being everything. I've got a job. I've got I was married at the time, and then I got injured. I was in Florida, South Carolina. Somebody stomped on my ankle, and I wound up getting a sprained ankle out of the deal. And I had a kid at home. When you have a kid, what it did for me is it made me look at life a whole lot different, because now I wasn't just making a decision for myself. There was an innocent person that I helped bring into this world that I had to be responsible for. And anything that I did as far as trying to better myself or better my situation, I've always done for my daughter. I wanted to make sure that I could do things for her that that my family may have not been able to do for me as a kid, or whatever. But I always had her best interest at heart, whether it seemed that way or not. I was striving to do something that maybe I could have something to pass on to her, or if she wanted to do something, I always encouraged her. She danced for the Columbia City Jazz. I always encouraged her to strive to do better, and I wanted to be that example for her. I didn't want her to have to turn on the TV or something to look at somebody and go, that's who I want to be like. I wanted her to be able to look at me and go, my daddy does this. Maybe I just push myself a little harder to go do that as well. So there were a few times, as she was growing up, that I thought, man, maybe I need to get away from this. And, I'm doing damage, to my relationship with my child. But outside of that, no, it wasn't. And it really wasn't even business related itself. It was, more of a personal issue.
Okay. And part two to that is what actually kept you from quitting?
The desire to not be a quitter. Because again, I didn't want my daughter to look up and go, oh, well, my dad didn't do anything in the wrestling business. And, I've always said, if working for the WWE means doing something in the wrestling business, I haven't done anything. But to be able to do stuff that I've been able to do, when I've had people, I've got family members that, and I got uncles, my mom's brothers, that I'm sure one of them thinks that I need a helmet to get up and take a piss in the morning. That's just how he treats people. But I've done a lot more in the wrestling business than a lot of people ever gave me credit for doing. I didn't set any world records, but I've been able to do things. I've had magazine articles. I've been in magazines. You can look around this man cave. There's WrestleForce posters around here. Maybe I didn't do something necessarily as a wrestler, but as a wrestling promoter, I've been able to put on some good shows. And did I do it by myself? I'd be lying if I said I did, because I didn't. John's sitting over here. He's been a driving force behind WrestleForce as well. But it took a team effort. Without one, there wouldn't have been the other. Yeah. I'm not ashamed of anything I've done in the wrestling business. I don't regret anything. I don't regret any decisions that I made. There were a few times I think I could have probably maybe progressed on a little further, but again, I had a child at home, and I had a decent job, and
Oh yeah.
I had a decent job, and I was able to do my regular job. And there was I was wrestling in Greer on Tuesday nights, and then I was wrestling Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. So I was still wrestling sometimes 4 or 5 days a week, plus working a regular job as well.
Okay.
Back then, when people ran during the week, they didn't think the only days you could run was Friday and Saturdays.
All right. Going to you, John. I've seen you work babyface. I've seen you work heel. What do you prefer and why?
He's an asshole. Here, next question.
Yep, that was easy.
All right. Easy one for you.
John, quit drinking.
Bob, quit drinking. My God.
What do you think of GoFundMe accounts? Like,
God,
legitimately.
come on. All right.
Legitimately, and why?
All right.
I'm gonna go take a piss on this one.
Yeah. John's got time.
Keep rolling.
All right, GoFundMe accounts. If somebody is in legitimate need, okay, if they've got cancer, they've got a child with cancer, they've got to stay home to take care of that child. Okay, I get that. The GoFundMe is a modern day jar that sits on the counter at a convenience store.
Right.
Okay, if I went to a convenience store and I seen little Susie's trying to raise money because she needs new shoes. Where are mommy and daddy? Or where's mommy or daddy in this day and age?
Right.
Why does this kid not have shoes? And if the parents can't afford to put shoes on their feet, why can't they afford it? I mean, there's all kinds of different scenarios and everything, and I know somebody's going to sit there and go, oh, what a fucking asshole. Well, okay, I do a lot of charity work, okay, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back or anything like that, but I would rather do a fundraiser where the people spending money get a little something for their money, and the money go to a cause.
Right.
But I also want to see where that money goes. Like we did, Wrestle Roast was started based on doing fundraising. None of the participants in Wrestle Roast make a dime off of the live roast. They get copies of the DVDs. They sell those at events. The money raised at the door, 100% goes to the charity. So anybody that thinks that I'm just being pissy and moany about stuff like that, I don't trust GoFundMe accounts. There's too many criminals and shysters out here that make it bad for the legitimate people. I've always said anybody in professional wrestling, when John comes back from his pee break, he'll tell you, I told him from day one to have a backup plan. John was in college at the time, and I told him, I said, if you stop going to school, you're done. There won't be, you can't come back here. You have to stay in school. Have to have that backup plan. There's only so many jobs in professional wrestling, but there's probably 10 guys to try to get that one spot. So you have to have some type of backup plan. GoFundMe is not a backup plan. Right. And if you've got kids, if you're in the wrestling business and you make a kid in this business, be an adult. If you're over the age of 18, which most people in the wrestling business should be at that time, if you're over the age of 18, it's time to start being an adult and start taking care of your own. If you're incapable, if you've been in a car accident and at no fault of your own, and the person didn't have insurance, okay, I get the GoFundMe account. But if you've been in an accident, the person had insurance and they're taking care of you, You don't need everybody else digging into their pockets for hard-earned money, and you're just milking the system.
Right.
You're a crook and you're a piece of shit for doing that. But did I answer your question?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sure somebody's going to say, oh, well, what about this? What about that? If it's for you to get a new car, do like I did. Go out and get a job.
No, yeah.
All right. Now, what do you think about Patreon accounts? It's a lot like GoFundMe. Have you heard of Patreon accounts?
No, but if it's a lot like GoFundMe, I feel a lot about the same way.
All right. Well, the difference between the two, I'll go ahead and let you know. I have a Patreon account. The difference between the two is it's almost like a cross between a GoFundMe and an eBay deal. If you say you decide to go ahead and donate $1, well, guess what? You're supporting me, and that's cool. You donate $10, you get a signed autograph poster or something like that.
So that's different.
So you're getting
you're getting something for your money.
Right.
Okay, well then no, that's not the same thing. It's not even alike. GoFundMe, you do get something.
Well,
You get fucked. You get fucked out of your money.
Right. But
That's what you get. No, it's not. It's not the same. It's not the same, but different. It's a different thing. And if you're an injured wrestler and you don't have a job, no job. Instead of setting up a GoFundMe, how about you go out with your boys and travel every weekend, set up a gimmick table, and tell people, hey, look, I'm injured, I can't wrestle tonight, but I've got pictures here, I've got T-shirts, I've got this, or I can make gear, or I'll stand up and sing Yankee Doodle Dandy. I don't give a shit. Just try to make a couple bucks. That's a difference because the people they're getting something for their dollar.
Right.
GoFundMe, they're not getting something for the dollar. Not to mention the fact GoFundMe takes something right off the top of it. So if I'm trying to raise $3,000 for somebody, and $300 is coming off the top, I didn't raise $300 or $3,000. I raised $2,700. Yeah. I needed $3,000. I'm still screwed out of the $300 I need. And now if it's somebody that has cancer or something like that, when my father passed away back in 2010, I didn't set up a GoFundMe for his funeral. We had to figure out a way to pay for his funeral. Right. When my mom died in 1999, there wasn't no such thing as GoFundMe. Now, what people will do in lieu of flowers, if you want to buy something or you want to make a contribution, that's different. Because they're telling you, like if you read somebody's obituary, it says, in lieu of flowers, please make a donation to Hospice of Martinsburg, West Virginia, or please make a donation to Pets Incorporated in your name. Right. Now you're taking something like that, and let's say instead of me spending $100 on flowers, that somebody's just going to pitch over a fence after everybody leaves the funeral anyhow. Right. I'm going to make a donation in your name to Pets Incorporated, and then now it becomes a tax write-off, and it's done some good, and the money went where you said it was going to go.
Boom. Next question.
All right. I'm going to go with you, John. You got any road stories?
Yes, I got 10,000 road stories. I'm not going to tell any of them. Next question. No, I'm kidding.
He's kidding. He'll tell one. There was a time he was driving my van and got a ticket. He couldn't find it.
No, that's a good one, but I'm not going to tell that one. The one that I was going to tell was when we were checking into the Roadway Inn. What was the town? Martinsburg?
That was in Martinsburg.
Yeah. Martinsburg, West Virginia. Myself, Bob Keller, Jesse Wyndham was with us, and then there was maybe somebody else in the car. Not really sure who.
I think it was 6.
Could have been. Probably was 6. And we roll up to the roadway there in Martinsburg, West Virginia, and 3 of the 4 of us were over 21. One of us wasn't, and that was Jesse Wyndham. And we roll up to the hotel. There are cop cars just strewed throughout the parking lot. State police with their blue lights on and everything. And we roll up in the van. We've got at least 1 case of beer, maybe 2 cases. Not really sure. 2 cases?
I'm just giving peace sign, brother.
Yeah. We roll up and we tell Jesse, who was under 21, stay in the car. Don't let it, don't claim anything.
Don't do anything.
Don't do anything. Just stay in the car. And We go to check in to get the 2 rooms. It's a roadway that we've stayed at like multiple times.
Quite a bit.
And Bob's got this deal. He goes in there all the time where he'll be like, "Yes, ma'am. Yep, we're the pro wrestlers. Yep. Yep. Championship Pro Wrestling, right up the road. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. That's us. Yep. Do you have a corporate discount? Yes, we do. Great. Perfect. Awesome. Yes, pro wrestlers. Us.
Yeah,
Yes.
he's making fun of this, but he never made fun of me getting him a discount. I'm just going to point that out.
No, I'm not. He always got the discount. And the lady, was it a lady or a guy?
It was a guy.
It was
Remember,
a
it was the old
yeah,
guy
the
that
old
we thought
Father
was
Time.
Father Time.
That's what we called him. We called him Father Time because he would go to write like our.
Nice old guy, but man, it took him forever to write the room number down.
He'd write the like you get the key and they put it in a little slip and they write the room number on it and it was like 3.
So he's going slower than the speed of smell.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And then if you made a mistake, you're screwed.
Sorry, I gotta start over. And so, he's going through this, and then there's somebody in the background that was getting arrested as we're checking into our room, and there's like cops everywhere, and like they have this hotel bar at the same hotel, and somebody had caused a scene or a disturbance or whatever, and they're getting arrested, and the cops, me and Bob, asked the guy at the counter, and we're like, what's going on back here? And he goes, yeah, somebody started a fight or something in the bar. They shut the bar down. They're going to arrest the guy or whatever. And as we're talking to the guy checking us in, the guy that was getting arrested from the hotel bar, the one that had caused the scene or the disturbance, had overheard Bob going through the spiel of, yeah, we're pro wrestlers, yada, 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 corporate discount, championship pro wrestling, yada, yada, yada. The guy from the bar goes, oh, y'all are pro wrestlers, huh?
You know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
So we turn around, he goes, he repeats himself, he goes, y'all know Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? And I look at Bob and I'm like, and Bob goes, nope. But if you don't sit down, I'll come back there and I'll choke you out or whatever. And
I turned around and I said, adults are doing business over here.
That's
If you don't sit down and shut up, I'm going to come over and choke you out, drag your ass out, and put you in a cop car myself.
Yep. That was it. And then the guy said, his reply was, well, I'm going to sit down. Ain't nobody going to choke me out.
But I'm going to sit down and be quiet. And he sat down like this. The old man goes, that's the quietest he's been since he got locked up.
Shit. That was it. And there was one night I broke into the bar. Not broke into the bar.
No, they had a passcode on it. And I couldn't get the passcode. John goes, oh, the passcode's always this. I'm like, man, what is it? And it, he's like, I got it. See? I'm a bitch. Lucky he did because there was a bathroom and I had to pee. That was the closest one. Like now, I gotta pee, so hurry up so I can pee.
All right. Well, I'm fixing to have to cut that off because it'll cut off in an hour anyway.
All right. We already done an hour?
Yep.
All right. Well, ask your question quick.
Well, I got like 3 other ones here, but
Pick the best one.
Go.
all right.
Hurry up.
Who the hell is hardcore Bob Keller?
No.
That
Who is hard? Oh man.
Who's hardcore Bob Keller? Who the hell is that guy?
All right. The story behind hardcore Bob Keller. There was a young man that decided he was going to disrespect me at an event, and
Okay, Ryan.
yeah, I was dating a young lady, and he decided to come into the show one day and plop down beside her at a table. And when I said, "Hey man, you're in my seat," he goes, "I'm sitting here." I said, "Yeah, I can see that, but you're in my seat. This is my gimmick table, And this was actually before WrestleForce. We were at a TLC event. It was I want to say it was Spring Fling. They're doing it in the front parking lot there at TLC in Columbia, Williams-Brice Stadium.
Good time. Good time.
The only time they had a battle royal, and I was given the option of managing somebody, and I was looking on that list, and I was like, okay, I want to be in the battle royal, and I was told it was a hardcore battle royal, and my comment was, well, today I'm hardcore. Oh no, it was John Malice that said, we'll put you in the battle royal. You'll be hardcore Bob Keller. I went out. I was hardcore Bob Keller, and that was.
Put somebody through a table of
that aforementioned person that disrespected me was actually trying to do something that didn't make sense anyhow.
Yep.
He tried to throw a 400-pound man through a plywood that was filled with mouse traps, and at that time he probably weighed 160 with his boots full of water and him soaking wet. So I got in there and through the plywood.
There you go.
He called for a reversal, and I said, if you can reverse it.
Next question.
Okay, next question. Brett over there told me to ask you about Greg Valentine. Apparently you have a story on that.
Oh, man. I don't have a heat with Greg. I just won't book him ever again.
You got heat with him.
No, I just personally won't do business with him.
So you got heat with him.
Yeah, okay. I don't want to call it heat. I mean, I've spoken to him a dozen times since, but
He looks like hell and hot.
I was running a building in Camden, South Carolina,
Right?
and the first event that I had ran there, we drew almost 500 people, which I was ecstatic. And Greg no-showed me. Yeah, he had showed up the night before for the autograph signing. We had him a hotel. Everything that we agreed on was there. There was another person running up in Lenore, North Carolina at the time that was using Greg in the main event. He was booked for my event first. His agent, Michael Valancourt, called me and said, oh, you need to change the date of your show, which obviously wasn't going to happen because I already had my press out, my radio, everything else. I had bought some radio advertisement. We'd done the whole 9 yards. We had a deal set up with Kmart where everybody came in. They did the autograph signings, and Greg went on, did something in Winston-Salem that morning, and drove on to Lenore and skipped out on our show. But it wasn't so much that he did that as the fact that he cost me my building.
And he's the worst wrestler of all time.
Yeah, he said that. But
He sucks. I'm sorry. He's boring. He's boring. You're
uh,
boring.
So he, that's why I won't book him. I'm not going to take a chance on somebody like that. Same reason I won't use Moose anymore. Moose called me the morning of an event to tell me that he was 14 hours away. He could have at least called me the night before and gave me a heads up. But on multiple times, and people think I kiss Barbarian's ass a lot. The Barbarian has bailed me out of a lot and helped me out with a lot. So yeah, there's always going to be a special place for me. Personally and business-wise, always going to be a special place in my heart for Barbarian because, he's always looked out for me, and anytime I've called him and said, hey, we need you at Wrestle Force, he's been there, no questions asked.
Next question is, you're going to go take a piss. I'm going to restart this thing to get
Catch
the
us
other
on
shit.
episode number 2. It's going to be myself and Brett Wolverton, and we'll see you later because we're about out of time. We just called it in the ring!
Thank you all for joining. And I'm talking to you.